Why hello everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of Gaming Group Tears. I am Absolutely Zero and I'll of course be the host. Today's participants include of course Laser Science 77.
I am hungry. Also I like Pokemon.
Orange Dude.
Yo, Goku guy, back at it again.
And welcome back Mchan338, or Mchan Plays.
I don't know why you brought me here.
Because you like
asked-
Zelda.
You asked for it, and they also offered you money.
Do you have money, Laser?
I have lots of money.
So yes, today's topic is Zelda games. Specifically the mainline games as well as Hyrule is included here because why not? So as usual, of course we will deliberate on each of the games and we'll pretty much group decide on where we think it goes in the tier list. From S the best to F, which is god awful. Or have not played in case even if has not played any of that game, so yeah.
So is this tier list going to be like a balance of all of our opinions, or like your own personal tier list and like
It's a group
and
balance.
like all of us? Okay.
It's gonna be biased on me. It's gonna be all my opinions. All of your opinions can suck.
No. This isn't your place, Laser. This is sharing.
No, it's not. Not anymore.
Bro, it ain't your studio.
Right, anyway, let's get started with the original Legend of Zelda. What do we all think?
B tier.
F.
Excuse me.
Wait, why F?
This is this is like one of the worst Zeldas I have played. If you move in four directions, Link only stabs, so it's like really hard to get away from enemies, and it's also just hard to counter against some of the really tough enemies.
Yeah, someone clearly hasn't read a guide.
I think I don't blame you for that, but like Zelda 1's kind of a guide game.
Also, yeah, because of that, a lot of the designs of the overworld and dungeons are pretty cryptic, unless you like really explore the game pretty well.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's about adventuring and exploration. You probably haven't gotten past the first 5 screens.
Huh. I was gonna say like B or C because I mean it's good for its time.
I definitely feel like it is a B tier game because it definitely gives off the sense of exploration that is further improved upon in A Link to the Past later on. And it does introduce a lot of mainstays for the series. Like several of the monsters and bosses that come back from time to time. Not to mention, it honestly, and not to mention it also has that nice Zelda theme that we all know and love.
Of course.
But in general, the fact that it is a very, very, very confusing map, and it does require a guide or extensive amount of, testing and, stuff like that, it definitely weighs down the game quite a lot, but it doesn't deserve any lower than C tier, no higher than B tier. It fits just right there. It is not one of the worst Zelda games ever created.
I don't think it's well under the worst either. Like, I will forgive it for like being the first one in the series, and I can appreciate the stuff it tried to do with like the exploration theme and everything. But obviously, yeah, the confusing map and most of the later dungeons just suck, especially the final dungeon. Like with some of the secrets you have to find, you have to like just burn a random bush and bomb a wall. The problem with that is like the bombable walls look no different from normal walls, so that's kind of what I think. So I'm guessing C tier is where this is going, unless you have anything to say, Orange.
I barely remember anything from this game whatsoever. The next game though, like, I have some knowledge with.
Do you still stand by FTM M-chan?
Yeah.
I'll just put in the middle ground. I'll just put in C.
Yeah, see, whatever.
Yeah. Oh boy, Zelda 2.
Zelda 2, I
haven't played this one, but from what I've seen, it's like maybe D or F.
I was gonna say D.
Yeah, D honestly feels like yeah, D.
I don't have an opinion of this because I haven't really played it, but from what I've seen of the game, it like it's for a second Zelda game, like like for it to completely change from the first game's formula, because it is the second game. There is one thing to consider that it is the second game, which means that they haven't fully established on a definitive formula that the Zelda games follow, and so the way Zelda 2 is like a way to see if this formula would work out and for future Zelda games. Because keep in mind that at this point, only 2 Zelda games have only come out. But from what I've seen, I think it's I don't know. I think the concept's cool. Platformer and RPG aspect in it. But yeah. From what, but I can't give a real opinion because I haven't played it myself.
From what I played, it seems very unfair. Like, not hard or anything, just unfair.
And cryptic. Unbelievably cryptic.
I mean, I think it's less cryptic than the first Zelda, but your point still stands.
Well, like I said, you have to consider it is the second Zelda game, and so they haven't the formula wasn't established yet.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out what I think it was like the main thing in the 80s was that they weren't quite sure on how to follow up on their games. Like, obviously, look at this game, Castlevania 2, Mario 2.
But supposedly at the time, it was pretty good. So when I looked up numbers of how it was like at its time,
I was going with what me and Laser think. D tier. I think that's an alright place, right, Laser?
Yeah, D seems fair because it also introduced some mainstays for the series. It's just, it doesn't feel like Zelda at the end of the day.
Not really, no. Link to the Past. I think it's S tier.
If anyone puts it anywhere but S tier, they are objectively wrong.
I would say A tier. How about that? Is it alright?
Why
Excuse me?
A tier. Okay.
A tier.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna be real.
At least it's not like. At least he didn't put it anything lower than B. That's that. I'll give him points for that.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be like real though. I have only played like what 4 Zelda games in my life. There's like just like another one there coming up, which I consider like S tier, like in my opinion, because you need friends to play it, and it's like way more fun than like just playing like in a single player like experience. But what I played through Link to the Past, it's pretty much a massive improvement of Zelda 1, like in my opinion at least.
True.
Yeah, they went back to the formula that Zelda 1 has, but they improved it upon it because it is a different console, so they have more to work around. So like more buttons, better controls, better combating style.
Oh yeah, you can move in 8 directions, and you don't actually stab this time. He actually swings his sword.
Exploring is much better because unlike in like Zelda 1, where like you have to bomb random walls or bushes to find stuff. There's little bits of indicators that will hint you that there's something that you can blow up here, or like there's a little something that you can check out in order to find yourself like either like extra rupees or like a heart piece or something like that. It is a hard game. But I feel like A Link to the Past to me is like the fun type of hard.
It definitely gets easier once you get all those new items and weapons and stuff, as well as getting all those heart containers that you can find throughout both maps.
Yeah, but I'm just speaking this from like a really biased opinion because I speedrun this game a lot, so I gotta put this on S. It is the first Zelda game I've ever beaten.
Oh wow, yeah, I still need to finish Link to the Past myself. I'm like halfway done with it.
Yeah, the first Zelda game I've beaten, as well as the Zelda game I've probably spent the most amount of time on out of all the Zeldas.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I agree with the S tier because I love. Yeah, I mean it's probably my favorite of all the 2D games. Added so much more items that like the fucking Pegasus boots were really fun to use for one thing. Also, some of the dungeons were really well designed.
Yeah,
Except-
instead of just being like the same thing like as in Zelda 1, because obviously they're trying to save space on NES.
Like, I really enjoyed a lot of the dungeons in this game, except for Ice Palace. That dungeon can fuck right off. And also, you know, Moldum's annoying as hell.
Somebody needs to learn Ice Palace bomb jump.
Wait, what?
Ice Palace bomb jump, excuse me?
Is that a speedrun strat?
Yes.
Yeah. I had some great bosses. I think my favourites were probably the Helmasaur King from the Dark Palace, but yeah. I agree. S tier. Link to the Past is peak Zelda. Link's Awakening DX, the original for the Game Boy.
Haven't played that one.
Me neither.
Now, if we're talking about original Game Boy, Link's Awakening, D, but Link's Awakening Deluxe, probably A.
I'd agree with A as well. I think
It's not-
Link's Awakening is really good.
Like, it's another game that I speedrun, but as a casual game, there are a few issues with Link's Awakening Deluxe that doesn't make it like the perfect Zelda game for me.
Limited item management for one thing.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
You only have-
I mean,
It is a Game Boy Color, so you only have 2 buttons to work with, which I get. Which, you know, I guess it's not the fault of you know, making it that way. It's just due to limitations of the Game Boy, of the Game Boy Color. But yeah, aside from that, like, yeah, there are a few issues that like it doesn't make it like the perfect Zelda game for me.
no. But it has a unique charm to it. I mean, obviously, with the story is unique because obviously, when you at the end, it turns out it's all a dream.
Yeah.
But I liked some of the things that were in the story, like Marin. Marin was a cool character.
Yeah,
I
when
like
you're
some-
finding everything though, yeah, a lot of the stuff that you need to find in order to 100% is kind of crazy though.
Yeah. I did like the training sequence.
Yeah, the train sequence is cool. Finding all the pictures is annoying when you're finding them because some of them like they're missable, so you're completely screwed up 100% when you're trying to find all the pictures. And then there are like some heart pieces are also placed in very questionable places that you wouldn't otherwise think to check. They're better about it in the remake, but in the original Link's Awakening versions, they are it has that issue.
Also, I really liked the dungeons in this game. I know a lot of people don't like Eagle's Tower, but I fucking love that place. I think that was a really creative dungeon.
Yeah, it's a really unique dungeon.
I hate Turtle Rock.
Again, gotta learn some shortcuts, man.
I know, but I'm not a speedrunner, am I? Yeah, alright. A tier for Link's Awakening. Right, here's a big one. Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
A tier for the 3D version, but C tier for N64.
Why?
I just prefer the 3DS version. I just really like the controls more on the 3DS version. I'm just spoiled by gyro aiming.
Yeah, I do agree it's better, but I mean, it's kind of like the same case with what Laser was saying once about Mario 64, and that Ocarina of Time can be quite dated now as like the original version anyway. I don't know if you agree, Laser, but that's kind of what I think.
I also just think that the 3DS version just looks nicer.
Well, yeah, because obviously it's a new console, and
I'm not like as much as I grew up with the N64. I am just not a fan of looking at polygons.
no. Yeah, it's obviously the graphics are rather dated, but they were okay for the time and everything. The story was pretty good, and some of the dungeons were they did really good with the dungeons in Ocarina of Time, except for Water Temple. You all knew that was coming. Everyone hates the Water Temple.
I actually kind of like it.
Really?
Except I'm less of a fan of it in the Master Quest version, Water Temple. But
Well, that's the more difficult version, right, of Ocarina of Time?
yeah, it's the harder mode where they change the dungeons,
Oh.
and at least in the 3DS version, but they also mirror the game.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about Ocarina of Time, Laser? Or Orange, have you played it?
No, even if I have like online N64, I still have no idea why I played it. I don't know why I'm giving myself an excuse not to.
I guess I'll go for like B
Yeah.
or A.
Supposedly, yeah, a lot of people like to hype this up as like the best Zelda game, but I don't
think
know.
that's true.
For me, it's not up there.
No, I don't think so either. It's a
Like,
really good Zelda
it is
game.
it is the game that got. I will give points for it that it is the Zelda game that got me into Zelda. But I wouldn't give points for it as the best one.
No. So I'd say B or A. But you said C for the original, right?
Yeah, C for the original. But if we're talking about 3DS, which we're not, which I don't see the 3DS. Then,
I didn't put it on because
C.
I didn't think it really changed much. I guess I'll put in B to put it kind of in between the two plot slots here. Aha,
Yeah, that's a good
Majora's
balance,
Mask.
in my opinion. Now, Majora's Mask, I think I haven't played the original Majora's Mask, but I played the 3DS one, and I actually liked it. So I'd give it it was somewhere between A or B.
I was gonna say
think,
S. This is my favorite Zelda game.
I'd say it recently, relatively recently, for my Let's Play, and I was really impressed by how much this game improved upon Ocarina of Time as far as like mechanics and the items.
Yes.
The story, obviously, like the dark. I'm not really a fan of dark things, but the way the story worked out in Majora's Mask, I actually really liked it. The side quests were also really cool. It felt really satisfying doing all the side quests.
I agree.
Game.
The best one was probably the longest one, the Anju and Kaive quest.
Yeah.
What did you think of the 3-day time limit?
So I guess this is what many people get deterred from when playing this game, and I was a little intimidated, which is why it took me so long to actually play through this game. But once I actually started investing in Majora's Mask, I realized that the 3-day time limit is really not as bad as some people who just look at the game might think about, but I think the 3-day time limit adds like an interesting aspect to how do you do how to make your the amount of things that you do very efficient, like the most efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when you watch like a speedrun of this game, they manage to do like a lot of things within one entire 3-day cycle. I
actually think the 3-day time limit is one of Majora's Mask's biggest strengths. Like, even if you're running out of time, you can always go back with the Song of Time, with the Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. And I've only played the 3DS version, but the fact that you can choose where you want to fast forward time to where you want to go, I think is a really good aspect unique to the 3DS version. I know for sure it's not present in the original version.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I will say, one thing I did not like about the 3DS version of Majora's Mask, which a lot of people have said before, is they nerfed Zora Link. Yeah,
they nerfed Zora Link. So swimming is unfortunate. A lot of people also like to say that they don't like how like all the bosses are different as well. I'm only saying this because I haven't really played the original version.
No,
so, but
you remember.
I'm just saying this from a biased standpoint to the 3DS version.
Speaking of the masks, I think the masks were really cool.
Yeah, the masks are really cool.
I think my favourite is probably Goron Link. I wouldn't say the Fierce Deity is my favourite because you can only use it for bosses. Even then, it's still really cool, like, masks you can use. And even stuff like, the bunny hood can make you run faster. Because there's no, like, Pegasus boots in the 3D Zeldas, as far as I'm aware. So, what tier did you just say, Chan?
I'd say somewhere between A or B. A, I guess.
I was gonna say S, but I guess A is fair enough. Do you have anything to say, Laser?
No, not really. I haven't played Majora's Mask.
Me neither.
A tier is higher or lower than Link's Awakening?
I'm more of a fan of 2D Zelda games over 3D Zelda games, so that's just me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of 2D Zelda games, we're moving on to the ones I've recently Let's Played, starting with Oracle of Ages. I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, what do you think of Ages, Jan?
I put it C tier.
I was gonna say B.
Yeah. It's not a bad Zelda game. But man, I'm a really bad puzzle solver. So this game is
Did you just say skill issue, Laser?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go on, Jan.
yeah. That's it. I'm a bad puzzle solver.
I actually
sure.
liked the more puzzle-focused stuff in Oracle of Ages, and I think the dungeons were better well designed in Ages as well. Except for Jabu Jabu's belly, but we've already been through that.
Thousand Touch Story.
Yeah, something like that, but worse. They basically took the water mechanic from the water temple, but made it 2D. So it was really hard to tell where you could change what changed with the water level in Jabu Jabu's belly because it's not a 3D space. Other than that, I really enjoyed this game. I enjoyed its story. I really liked Ralph. I thought he was a really great character. I liked Neighbor as well. I think she's probably my favourite of the Oracles. I guess I'll put it in somewhere. I guess I'll put it in B. I think that's like the middle ground between where me and Chan think. Alright, Oracle of Seasons.
This one's a B tier for me.
Alright.
So
I agree.
this is where we both kind of interchange a bit here.
Yeah, he prefers Seasons over Ages, so want to explain why?
Well, I know it more, and it's the one that I actually have over Ages. So yeah, that's mainly it.
Yeah, this one's the more combat-focused Zelda compared to Ages. You know, it's alright. I like.
It's not even because I prefer the combat aspect in Seasons. It's just mainly because I just know it more.
Yeah. Obviously, I did actually really enjoy the Seasons mechanic in 8 Seasons, as well as, well, I should have mentioned this when we got to Ages, but I really enjoyed the time travel mechanic more in Ages than I did with the season mechanic in Seasons, but I enjoy both, still. The dungeons definitely felt easier in Seasons than they were in Ages.
Yeah.
There wasn't really one I disliked, except for, I guess, Dungeon 7. And I guess I think a lot of people don't like the Sword and Shield maze, but I really liked it. I thought that was a really creative dungeon.
Yeah. It's a unique aspect to it.
Yeah, one throws a sword and one throws a shield. And there wasn't much story in this compared to Ages. The villain's kind of boring, to be honest.
Onyx is boring.
He's just bad guy. Compared to Varen from Ages, who I thought was way more interesting.
I will say one thing both these games suffer is that 100%ing the games are a huge pain in the butt.
Oh, it is. Collecting every single ring and heart piece.
A lot of the rings are a pain. The heart pieces are also a pain to find.
Yeah.
And then you also have to use both games in order to actually 100% both games.
Yeah, that's one of the things I did like though about Oracle games is that they link together and you could like start with one, then you get like a password at the end to continue on to the other.
Yeah, and they have different stories depending on which one you do first.
Yeah.
But they lead to the same objective in the end.
Yes, the final objective of course being a battle with Twin Rover, then Ganon.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I liked both of these games. Now, I've not really played much of Wind Waker, so it's up to you guys of what you think.
Wind Waker HD in particular is an no, not S tier. Actually, A tier. Yeah.
Right, why A tier?
The combating is really fluent compared to a lot of the 3D Zeldas. It is not S tier. As much as I really like the story of Wind Waker, and the soundtrack's fantastic too.
Oh yeah, Dragon Roost Island, anyone?
But it's not S tier because too much water.
Oh, with the open world thing?
Yeah, way too much water.
Or was it? I mean, I think that's what people did say. I think I heard people say the sailing was boring.
Yeah, so like your main form of exploration is sailing. So because of that, it's kind of hard to find things sometimes, like find your way around the map.
Yeah, that can be an
Because like everything is so like open and like you can go anywhere, and I guess some people do like that aspect where you can just like explore wherever you want at any time, which I guess that's going to be for a later game to talk about. But
yeah, we'll get to that.
I like to have an objective, which there are objectives. Like it's like there are objectives that you do.
Yeah.
It's just that when trying to explore, it's like how do I explain this? You just get lost so easily in when you're sailing around enough times.
Yeah. I think HD has the swift sail, so sailing's faster.
Yes, but even then, it's too much sailing, which makes exploring not very exciting.
Damn. Even though I've not really played much of Wind Waker, I will say Toon Link is adorable.
I'm biased that I like Toon Link more over any other Link because if I have to play as a Link in Smash, I prefer Toon Link.
Ah. Any input, Laser?
No input here. I can't really say much until Twilight Princess.
Alright. Anyone play Four Swords? Because I haven't.
Oh, I have. Wait.
No opinion on Four Swords.
Okay, so I played.
Wait, this is Four Swords Adventures specifically.
No, this is the original for the Game Boy Advance. Four Swords Adventures is next.
Oh.
Wait, is that? Well, hold on. I need to view that.
I was gonna say, like, are we talking about the GameCube version? No, we're talking about the GBA version.
This is the GBA one.
I only know the GameCube version.
Alright,
okay.
That's the one we haven't played.
This one.
Okay. Alright, Four Swords Adventures for the GameCube. I've not played this
Four
one.
Swords Adventures. Dude, this game is so fun. I haven't played Link to the Past like that much, but like Four Sword Adventures is like such a blast to play with friends, like through Dolphin Emulator, because this is really fun. It's so fun.
Where's it going, Orange?
I've only played like a little bit. I've only played a little bit of the game, like here and there. I've gone up to World 2, but as I continue like playing it like with like others, like it's pretty fun. Like you're just like completing side missions with like one another. Like you have like a different task to do, and then there's also this like unique system where like if you like help or like just I don't know sabotage like the player, you get like hero/dark points or something like that, or whatever that system's called.
Where's it going in the tier list? You're the only one who can really say it because none of us have played it.
Oh, wait, none of y'all played it?
No.
Oh.
I didn't start getting into Zelda until like this year, so...
So cool, Orange.
Alright, so I guess it can go in A tier because I know like another like a Zelda game, which people like, or a lot of people already know of, like in like 2017, so we're just gonna get to that later on.
Yeah, of course. Alright, Minish Cap?
I haven't played that.
I haven't really played much of Minish Cap. Amchan, have you played this one?
Yeah, I did a blind LP of it like 9 years ago at this point. It's actually hard to believe that's 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Minish Cap's a C tier.
Well,
the story's alright. And well, I mean the whole game is okay for the most part. I don't remember much about it. This is 9 years ago.
I've not really got much past the first dungeon, really, to be honest.
I will say the combating is atrocious. You barely have any iframes when you get hit by enemies. So it's like really easy for you get comboed very hard.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. I mean, the shrinking mechanic seems interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got to say.
I also remember I haven't 100%ed the game when I LP'd it, but apparently I've heard that 100%ing it is pretty cryptic. Maybe not as cryptic as Ages and Seasons, but it is cryptic in its own way.
Damn.
I don't know what it is though.
Alright, Twilight Princess, this is the first Zelda game I ever played.
S.
Okay. Yes, it is 100% an S tier.
Fucking agree.
For one, Midna is a fantastic companion.
Absolutely.
I love how different being a human and being a wolf is. I like how, how different yet somewhat familiar those are. The atmosphere in this game is almost unrivaled from any other Zelda game. As well as that, the music compositions are fucking phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And this takes place in the same timeline as Majora's Mask. And you literally get taught by the hero of time. That is fucking amazing.
Oh,
This is-
yeah.
This is the pinnacle of 3D Zelda.
Yeah, Midna's an amazing character. But I think, yeah, she's the best companion of any companion on Zelda.
And Twilight Princess also has really, really fantastic combating. Probably, in my
Probably
opinion,
the best combat.
just as, in my opinion, just as good as Wind Waker.
One of the only flaws that I see with Twilight Princess is the fact that the Wii version is completely mirrored. However, it's remedied by the HD port.
Yes.
In fact, the HD port adds so many new quality of life improvements that just make it the definitive version. If you're gonna play Twilight Princess, play the GameCube version, emulate it, and just have a blast, or play the HD version. There's no... Don't play the Wii version. It's not worth it.
Yeah, the motion controls are were a bit finicky from what I remembered. But I might find it more comfortable to use buttons. Also, this game had a lot of dungeons. I can't remember how many more. I think it was like over 9 or something. I don't remember.
There is 7, but 8 if you want to count Hyrule Castle.
Oh yeah, sure, but
I
a lot of people didn't like the Lake Bed Temple. I actually really enjoyed that one.
I guess it's not a matter of it has so many dungeons, it's more so the dungeons are just really freaking long.
Yeah, they can feel a bit long. That is true.
Yeah, every
City
dungeon
Sky
in my
does feel
LP
the most-
took 3 videos, which equates to an hour.
Damn. I think the most boring of them all is probably City in the Sky.
Oh, I love City in the Sky.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's actually really fun to sequence break that dungeon.
I will say it did have the double claw shot. By the way, the hook shot's probably the best item in any Zelda game. I'm just gonna say that now.
It's called the Claw Shot.
Oh yeah, and Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, which we'll get to. But yeah, I agree with the S tier for Twilight Princess.
If it's HD, then S tier. I haven't played the originals.
I played the Wii version. It's really good, but I think the HD version is the definitive way to play it.
It is. So I've never played the GameCube version, but it automatically trumps the Wii version for being, the proper way to play the game, with Link being left-handed and all. And honestly, I think, I could be wrong, but I think how it looks is slightly better than on the Wii. The Wii version obviously has motion controls nonsense, and the whole game is mirrored for right-handed people, so it's, not really the best way to play. If it's all you got, then you gotta make with what you got, but if you can, just get the GameCube version. You can literally backwards compatible that shit if you still have a Wii. And obviously, yes, the HD version is the best way to play the game. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Jen and Laser has said about Twilight Princess. Amazing Zelda game. Now I have not played Phantom Hourglass. Has anyone else played Phantom Hourglass?
Nope.
No.
Well, that makes it easy then. Spirit Tracks?
Nope.
Haven't you played Spirit Tracks?
No.
Orange? Hudson doesn't know. Oh, I guess neither of us have played the DS games. Okay. Alright, Skyward Sword.
Alright, so I have not played it yet. I do have it in my collection, but I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. However, I have heard that the Wii version sucks because you don't have options for the control scheme. And the fact that the Wii isn't exactly the... Hold on a second. But, like, it is... So you know how the Wii's calibration for motion controls is pretty finicky, even with the Wii Motion Plus. I heard that caused a lot of issues for the gameplay for Skyward Sword. On top of that, a lot of people really don't like Fi. Like
I pronounce it Fi, so...
I call her Fi.
Okay.
But, and then, obviously, the HD version on Switch, that one is much better. Obviously, it doesn't fix the fact that Fi exists, but I have not played it yet, so I can't really judge your character much. However, now the motion controls are better, and even if you don't want to use the motion controls, you could just use the right stick. But in a way, that's kind of broken, because you could just flick it back and forth very quickly and just shred through everything.
Have you played Skyward Sword, M-Jen?
I have it, but I haven't opened it up. It's still in its packaging.
I will say, though, Skyward Sword is definitely a really beautiful game. And I do love how it's the very start of it all. It is really great in its own right. However, it's definitely not even high. It's not higher than B tier, in all honesty. Maybe C tier if we're going to be a little bit rude. But B tier is where I think it belongs.
But, like, how would you know if you haven't personally played it?
I have no clue. I'm just judging off of what I've seen.
Now, I have played Skyward Sword.
Okay, and do you agree with my first impressions, or do you think differently?
Alright. Alright, here we go. So, I think Skyward Sword is A tier, like, because I actually really enjoyed this game, but I will acknowledge the fact that, yes, the motion controls in the Wii version weren't perfect, but for the most part, they worked really well for me, so I don't really have much complaints about the controls for Skyward Sword for the Wii. And obviously the Switch improves the controls, so you know, you can avoid motion controls on the Switch version. This game is beautiful. I really love its art style. I will acknowledge Fi. I think Fi's probably the worst sidekick in the series. So yeah, look forward to Fi, M-Chan, and Laser. And obviously this game's a bit more linear than the other Zeldas, which a lot of people didn't like, which I wasn't really bothered about. Also, the dungeons in this game were really well designed. I guess I won't really get much into the dungeons themselves, since again, Laser and M-Chan haven't played Skyward Sword, unless you really don't care about spoilers. But
I kind of want to play it.
Alright, I won't get into it, but there is a particular dungeon that's my favourite. It's actually it's a water dungeon, so yeah, that's all I'll say. Also, it has one of the best bosses ever. And also, I think its villain, Girahim, is probably my favourite fucking villain in any Zelda game ever.
For me, that's Gant.
Zant.
What? Wait, where did Gant come from? Oh yeah, okay. I was playing Ace Attorney, and so I got confused. It also doesn't help that I'm tired. My brain's not working today. It's Zant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my favorite. Skyward Sword is my favorite Zelda villain ever. Girahim. He's just. His personality is amazing. That's pretty much all I got to say about Skyward Sword. So I guess I'll just put in like high speed, based off Laser's opinions as well. Maybe a below Ocarina. I guess it's just a fair place for Skyward Sword. I mean, it's a very mixed bag in terms of people's opinions on this game. But there you go. Alright, A Link Between Worlds.
A Link Between Worlds is S- for me.
Why is that?
So it's a really good Zelda game. I like Link Between Worlds. Again, recently played it for the Let's Play about several months ago. So they of course enhanced the overworld that A Link to the Past had. So it's obviously a completely different story.
It's called Hyrule now, the Dark World.
The story is great, but the one thing I really like about Link Between Worlds is you could you can either the game rewards you for being the explorative type, and you can get as many items as you want before even doing a dungeon, and which in theory you can get all the items before doing any of the dungeons, at least in any of the low rule dungeons.
Oh yeah, the renting mechanic.
Yeah. Well, even then, also if you're really invested, you could just actually get the items, and also upgrade everything too. So in theory, you can get everything before doing. So the game like heavily rewards you for that, and which also means that you in theory you could overpower any dungeons. And there's no like set order the game wants you to do any of the dungeons. You're free to do. I mean that's the case with like with a lot with like a link to the past as well. There is an order, but you don't have to follow it. In Link Between Worlds,
I was going to say something like that. Obviously,
there's no set order.
You can go into
like
the dungeons you want.
The game has no order. You can do any of the dungeons in any order. I guess technically there is an order if you look at the save file and you see the order of the stages. But even then, like the game rewards you for either doing the hard route and you can just get all the items that you need and then do the dungeons, or you can just get everything and then blow through everything. And every dungeon has pros and cons for like specific specific rewards for doing whichever dungeon, whichever order that you do in the game.
Couldn't you upgrade these items as well?
Huh?
Couldn't you upgrade the items with like the Mainline?
Yeah. That's why I said you can get all the items as early as you want and upgrade them as early as you want.
Oh, whoops.
as long as you of course get all the Mainline and such. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. I wouldn't put it higher than... Well, actually, in terms of difficulty, it's like probably the easiest Zelda game I've ever played. So if we rank it based on difficulty, then I mean, it depends on what type of
Link to the Past.
It depends on what type of challenge that you want, whether you think it's hard or easy. So, yeah. In general, it's a really easy Zelda game. But yeah, I'm gonna put it below. It's S minus, which means, obviously not higher than what I think about Link to the Past and Twilight Princess.
Yeah. Any input layers? Have you played Link Between Worlds?
I have not, but it's definitely one that I really want to play. It's definitely on my hit list.
It's a really fun one.
It's also a game that I want to get really good at speedrunning. I've done a couple speedruns of it, but I actually want to get really good at it one day.
Oh, good luck. Before we move on, I just want to say the controls are so smooth in A Link Between Worlds.
Oh yeah, in my opinion, I think it has the best controls of at least in any of the 2D Zelda games. It has the best controls.
Yes. Circle Pad makes everything so smooth. Right, there we go. S tier below A Link to the Past. Alright, Hyrule Warriors.
Alright, this one is a doozy. Okay, just gonna start off by saying Hyrule Warriors is probably the biggest love letter to the entire Zelda franchise as a whole. And it's probably never going to be trumped unless they made a direct sequel. Age of Calamity doesn't count, because that's a whole different thing. So first off, it's its own thing. It's its own interpretation of the Zelda world. All the character designs are pretty peak. The soundtrack hits way too fucking hard for its own good. It's got 3 campaigns, and it's got a bunch of adventure maps. I am talking about the definitive edition on Switch, mind you. The original is perfectly fine, but just stay away from Hyrule Warriors Legends on 3DS. That does not really run well. But yeah, for real, Hyrule Warriors, fucking amazing. Just don't go trying to pull a Gerard. You're gonna hate yourself. It's a real masochist dream.
He means 100% in the game, I'm guessing.
Yes, 100% in the game, getting absolutely everything. Just don't fucking do it.
Where do you think it's going, Laser? I've not really played much of it.
Bias aside, I think it belongs in A tier because it's not that traditional of a Zelda game, even though it's got a bunch of good traditional Zelda elements incorporated into it. However, at the same time, maybe killing a bunch of enemies at once isn't everyone's thing, and it does get a little bit repetitive and boring at times. However, the story, the music, the characters, everything about it just screams, we love Zelda. And I've never seen a product be this passionate about another franchise ever since. Like, even Cadence of Hyrule slips up on a couple of things, but this is just fucking amazing.
Any
It
input,
belong-
M-Chan?
No.
Oh, okay, continue, Laser.
I pretty much finished what I had to say. I just love the game so much.
Alright, A tier is. Oh, alright, it's a big one. Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Alright, so, if this was back in 2017, I'm pretty sure most of us would have probably agreed that this is either an A tier or S tier game. But now, I think it belongs in B or C. Because
Yeah.
because the world of Hyrule is definitely beautiful in this reimagining of the world. I do love the mechanics that have been reworked, and I love how the world feels. It's all open. You can go wherever the fuck you want if you know what you're doing. I love how Link controls, and you can beat the game in like the moment you get off the plateau, which is really great. Like, you could 100% do that if you wanted to. Not recommended by any means, but you could do that. It is just a great sandbox-like experience. However, Breath of the Wild in particular feels a little bit barren. It feels like it's missing something. Which makes sense. There's not supposed to be much there. This is 100 years after the calamity happened. Obviously, there's nothing going on. There's not much civilization, not much to do. However, that does make it boring, or at least it gets boring from a gameplay standpoint if you're not trying to go for 100% completion. Even if you choose not to get all of the different Korok seeds, there's still a handful of things to do, especially now with the DLC, like Champion's Ballad and all that stuff. I believe it deserves B or C tier, but no higher than that, because it has been trumped by the later tiers of the kingdom for many different reasons.
Which we'll get to, but yeah. Any opinions, M-Chan, on Breath of the Wild?
So, I've tried. There are probably two opportunities where I really tried to get into Breath of the Wild. I got into it when it came out on the Wii U, but didn't really play very far of it. And I tried it again when good old friend Rebel Vince accidentally shipped me a Switch copy and decided to just let me keep it. So played a little bit of it on the Switch as well. Got a little bit farther than how I did on the Wii U, but I don't know. I was like repeatedly bored while playing it. I just wasn't like a fan of the whole open world aspect. This is kind of the problem that I have with open world games, is I have to like really be invested. Otherwise, if I'm not like committing to it for hours on end, then I'm not really interested, and therefore I don't really like play much of it, because like the amount of exploration, like I like exploring, but the amount of exploring in the game is very overwhelming to me. That
I agree.
And that because I get overwhelmed, and when I get overwhelmed, I'm just like demotivated from like continuing playing. So as a result, like as of right now, I haven't beaten it, so I can't really give like a definitive rank. But as of how much I played, unfortunately this will probably be D. But yeah, it's like I'd like to have something to do and know where I'm going. Otherwise, I'm just constantly getting lost. And therefore, it makes the experience unexciting for me.
I actually agree with M-Chan. I didn't really play Breath of the Wild for very long because, again, the overall open world concept was a bit overwhelming for me. And obviously because there weren't much objectives to do.
It's very understandable. It's very understandable. It's not everyone's thing. It's essentially a similar thing to the original Legend of Zelda, where you're in this world and you just need to explore and try shit out. That's essentially what this kind of is.
Yeah, it's 3D Zelda 1.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
I
the
was saying
prototype is
another
literally
thing
just Zelda 1.
Another thing that did put me off of Breath of the Wild is the weapon system. The fact that weapons break.
Oh yeah, that turns me off a lot.
Yeah.
I can see why people enjoy that whole thing, but I'm sorry, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. I will if there's I will give if there's anything I would give to Breath of the Wild is that it does have a really nice aesthetic to the game itself.
Yes, it looks
So,
beautiful. I will give
yeah.
it that. And 'tis the Kingdom as well, but which we'll get to. But another thing I didn't miss from Breath of the Wild and Tears in the Kingdom, which we'll get to, is the way. Well, actually no, Tears in the Kingdom didn't really do this, but no, Breath of the Wild, it didn't really have the traditional dungeons. Instead, you had shrines and divine beasts, which I'm kind of mixed on.
Yeah,
what-
even fans of Breath of the Wild agree that the divine beasts were kind of lame. Like, it was nice, but honestly, I would have preferred to just have actual dungeons. But that's something we could touch on later.
Yeah. So I disagree with the D tier though. I think it's C tier. I think Laser said B or C or something.
I said B or C, yeah.
I'll put it in C. It's kind of the middle ground between what Laser and me and M-Chan thought.
May as well stick Age of Calamity in there as well.
Alright, why?
Oh yeah. So yeah, he's already talked about what he thought about Age of Calamity.
Yeah, so I just feel like Age of Calamity is... Alright, so Age of Calamity is basically combining Breath of the Wild with the original Hyrule Warriors, which on paper sounds like a fantastic idea. However, problem, it's not that fun. Because you need to collect a bunch of materials and stuff from repeating stages. And you do that in order to upgrade weapons and unlock new skills for all the various Breath of the Wild characters. And this just creates a whole new timeline because it brings time travel into the equation, and it basically just screws up the entirety of the Breath of the Wild timeline and creates a whole new thing. So no, it's a mess. It's fun, but it's also just annoying and tedious. Also, just gonna say this right now, it runs worse than Breath of the Wild and the original Hyrule Warriors.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. Because it's combining the Hyrule Warriors gameplay, which is already a little bit buggy on its own, to the aesthetics of Breath of the Wild, which are a bit demanding, but because of how Breath of the Wild is structured and designed, it relatively runs well. Combine those two, they just don't mix. You end up having a buggy mess when you're trying to play the game. This is what prevented me from, playing the game for too long. I still haven't finished it to this day.
Is that all of it?
That is all.
Alright, Link's Awakening Switch Remake.
So
I think it's fun. I haven't finished it. It looks cute. That's all I can really say. I'll stick it in A. But you guys talk.
Link's Awakening Switch is an A tier, like on the same area as Link's Awakening Deluxe, but for different reasons. It's not as like fast paced as Link's Awakening Deluxe. It's like a lot. It's a little bit less satisfying to to go through and blaze through everything. Like there's a lot of tricks in LADX that allow the game to be extremely fast paced, which are all completely nerfed in the remake. All the items are nerfed, which I don't like. But the fact that they added more stuff in the Switch remake in order to get your money's worth is cool. But going through the game itself is mostly the same. Otherwise, if you're not worrying about that, if you're not worrying about the extra stuff,
Item management was better.
item management is better, yes. The controls were better, but unfortunately, all the items were completely nerfed. The bosses are harder, which I will give which I actually liked. The bosses are harder because the bosses were
They were
easy
joking originally.
in the original. So I like that challenging aspect. The mini games were a huge pain in the butt. in the remake compared to the original. You have to do all the mini games multiple times in order to get all the heart pieces and seashells as well as chamber stones.
Damn.
So that aspect is a pain in the butt. The Dampe dungeons I thought was really cool. A lot of people tend to not like it, but I thought the Dampe dungeons was a pretty cool idea.
I thought it was fine. The dungeon thing. I guess you could think of it as like a prototype for like a Zelda Maker or something. Which, why has Nintendo not done that yet?
Yeah, that is strange.
But yeah, Link's Awakening Switch is probably. I mean, there's still reasons to play the original version of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, they're very different games, which is why I don't really consider them as different versions. I just consider them as different games because they're just so different from each other.
Yeah, I do agree with the A tier. Link's Awakening Switch is a really good remake.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, now we're at the last one, the most recent Zelda game that came out this year, Tears of the Kingdom.
Alright, so we went ahead and put Breath of the Wild in C tier, and like I said, I know the exploration is very overwhelming for you guys, so I would say at most it's an A tier game, even though I personally think it's S tier. So, it did what Breath of the Wild originally imagined itself to be, but took it to the entire next level. For one, we don't have just Hyrule now. We have the underground areas, and we have the skies as well. The story was completely overhauled, and in general, the abilities are a whole lot more fun and more useful than the ones from Breath of the Wild. And I really love how we now have corruption. I think that is really fun, and, well, not really corruption, but like gloom. That is very interesting, and it just drains your hearts in general. And, hold on a second, I lost my train of thought. There are more shrines, a lot more shrines, a lot more puzzles that are actually fun, and, like we touched up on earlier, Breath of the Wild did not have actual dungeons aside from those shrines. Tears of the Kingdom actually has dungeons, and they are pretty freaking cool. I really like it a lot. It's also really good to know that it feels the exact same way Breath of the Wild felt when it first came out. It does not feel any different. The control schemes are practically the exact same, everything behaves as it should, and there is a lot more shit to do in Hyrule now, because everyone is starting to get together and starting to rise up against the evil forces this time, so you're no longer in a completely empty world. You now have shit to do. You have more objectives. You have a lot more quests. There's a lot more to uncover. There's a lot more to work up to before you face off against Ganon once more. On top of that, we have some very interesting spoilery stuff that I will not disclose here, but that sort of stuff, goodness, it makes Zelda look awesome. Zelda is a fucking badass in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. This incarnation of Zelda, while she doesn't do a lot of fighting, she does a lot of great researching and uses her brain a whole lot more than she uses her heart. She is not a damsel in distress by any means. She is awesome. That is all I have to say on Tears of the Kingdom.
Have you played the Tears of the Kingdom yet, Amjan?
I've only played literally like 5 minutes of it at Danielle's house, and the 5 minutes were before I even got to the exploring part, so I have like nothing to go off of.
I played bits of it of Tears of the Kingdom, and it didn't really do much for me still. I guess it's better than the original, than Breath of the Wild, but again, it's an open world game which can kind of overwhelm me. I will give it that it seems better than Breath of the Wild, but I'm sorry, it didn't really do much for me. I guess I just prefer the more traditional Zelda games. I'll stick it in A since that's what Laser thinks. But yeah, that's pretty much all the Zelda games now. Are we all happy with this?
No F tiers, which is quite a surprise. We haven't found a definitively bad Zelda game.
Guess I'll delete that word then. I mean, the only ones that are eligible for F tier are the CDI ones. which I have not played, and I probably never will. The only thing we'll ever know about them is, you know, the cutscenes. I think, looking at this now, I think I did forget to add Triforce Heroes on this. Have any of you played Triforce Heroes?
I have it, but the problem is that I can't really play it because I don't have people to play with.
Same. So I don't know much to say on Triforce Heroes.
I've seen a couple of friends of mine try playing Triforce Heroes through like some kind of weird connection thing that they try to do on 3DS or something. I don't know. Private server or something. Not, I don't know. Just online play.
So I guess that's pretty much it for this whole tier list. It probably definitely wasn't as long as the other ones.
The lowest one is oh, actually, no, never mind.
The lowest one is Zelda.
Yeah, I thought it looked like it looked like Zelda 1 from my angle, and I was like the lowest one is Zelda 1, which I like.
It's Zelda 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not definitely wasn't as long as the other tier list we've done, because obviously there's not as much Zelda games as were Mario and Sonic.
Yeah, like a lot. Some people might be surprised. Like for those familiar with my channel, might be surprised that I'm not really much of a Zelda fan, as some might think I am. No, I'm not much of a Zelda fan. I just don't really care much about the timeline stories and such.
The timeline can be very confusing, I will agree.
I just don't care about the timeline, and I just haven't really I don't know. In general, I just don't really play very much Zelda, as a casual experience.
Yeah, you're more of a speedrunning fan of Zelda. And obviously, Laser's still trying to get to modern games.
Yeah, it's just a matter of money. I do have a physical copy of the original Zelda. I do have Majora's Mask. I just need to play it. I need to finish Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past. I still need to get A Link Between Worlds. I still need to get Wind Waker HD, but I'm hoping that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD come on the Switch at some point.
Same, they need to. Why has Nintendo not done that yet?
Yeah, I'm just surprised they haven't done that yet. And I mean, I kind of caved in and got the Wii U version of Twilight Princess HD, which, ow, but...
So, I guess I'll call off the tier list now. We've finished it, so thank you all for watching, and see you on the next whatever tier list we do next.
Bye.
See ya.
Yep, bye-bye.